Hello, everyone, and welcome to our March Explorer Call from IRA. I'm Janine Stanley. I am your host and the Director of Customer Communications. And tonight we have a full house to talk about a lot of things. Joining us tonight, our CEO, Troy Attilio. Hi, Troy.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening.
Sandy Marcus, who is our VP of Marketing.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me, Janine.
Awesome. We have Jody Barthel, our Product Manager.
Hi, Janine. Hi, everyone.
Hey, and we have Savannah Massey, who is our VP of Service Delivery. Hi, Savannah.
Thanks, Janine. Excited to be here.
Yes. And I believe we also have Joshua Fluellen out there. I think Joshua's here with us tonight.
Not yet.
Not yet. But we have our amazing producer, Sid, with us. Hey, Sid.
Hi, Janine. Hi, everybody.
And tonight we have a very special guest with us, Mr. Mike May from Good Maps. And Mike will be talking with us here in a few minutes all about CSUN and the buzzword from CSUN. All righty. Well, let's go ahead and get started. Sandy, we have some news from IRA to get us going here. And let's see what's going on in the world of IRA.
Sure. So I won't talk about CSUN. As Janine said, we've got Mike as a guest. Thanks for joining us, Mike, and Troy, even though I was there. I'll leave that to them. I do want to just let everybody know Savannah was at South by Southwest, which is now, I think, 2 weeks ago, participating in a great panel all about future-proofing one's workplace. And as you all know, employment is empowerment. We care so deeply about workplace accommodations. So she was part of a great group of people talking about inclusive design and systems and experiences and how leaders need to think differently and think in a way that leads them to action about inclusivity in the workplace. So
Awesome.
There's what we have to say about events. Obviously, we'll get to summer conventions in a little while. The other couple of things that we wanted to tell you about, we've got some news from Envision. Both Troy and Mike will be participating in an event this Friday with the team from Envision Glasses. It's taking place at the Lighthouse in San Francisco. And surprise, surprise, it will be all about inclusive innovations and understanding the future of the workplace. So if you're in San Francisco, or maybe I should say near San Francisco, if you go to the Envision website, letsenvision.com/in, you'll be able to register. And if you're not local to San Francisco, you can participate in a subset of the event via Zoom, and information on how to register for the Zoom subset is also on that same webpage, letsenvision.com/in, like innovation, ININ. And then two more things that we're excited to tell you about.
There's more.
Yeah, but wait, there's more. Anybody who's planning summer travel, we have a new airport as part of our airport access partner community, and that's Albany in upstate New York. So if you're planning on going upstate, maybe heading to the Adirondacks or the Finger Lakes, and you're flying, you can now use IRA in the Albany airport.
Goodness, we've got a couple airports up there. We've got Buffalo and Albany. Wow.
There you go. We've got all of upstate covered. And upstate New York, for those of us on the East Coast, upstate New York is a great big land. I think for people who live in the middle of the country or the West Coast, you're probably laughing at me now. I'm in Massachusetts, which is teeny tiny. And then the final thing before I pass it, the final announcement before I pass it back to Janine. I mean, this one's not new, but just a reminder for anybody who does their banking with Bank of America, or if you're looking for a new bank, maybe consider Bank of America, also part of our IRA Access Partner Network. You can try banking with an IRA agent in branch or at an ATM. And Bank of America is all over, I think I won't say Central America, I'm not positive, but
Mhm.
certainly all over North America. So
Definitely.
if you're already a client, you can use IRA, just a friendly reminder. And if you're looking for new banking or you want banking where you can use IRA, certainly try B of A. And I think, Janine, that is everything. So again, event where you get to hear from Troy and Mike this Friday with our good friends from Envision. Check it out at letsenvision.com/in. Back to you, Janine.
All right. And there was a bit of an announcement this past week as we kicked off our time at CSUN. Our new app is out in both iOS and Android for you to use out in the public. And to talk a little bit about the new app, I'm going to bring on Jody, our product manager. And Jody, this was it was a long time in the making, but well worth it apparently from the reaction of everyone. Let's talk a little bit about the new app, IRA Explorer.
Yeah, thanks so much, Janine. It has been so wonderful to hear everyone's feedback on the new app. One of the new features that the team and I have really been enjoying, even for ourselves, is the part where at the end of a call, you can not only rate an agent, you can also rate the app and give us comments and feedback on that. And I think last month when we spoke, we talked a lot about the features with the Android experience. We now have that on iOS. So if you haven't downloaded, it's the IRA Explorer app. We would love for you all to go out and try it and leave that feedback. We are looking at it every single day. And just so I think we spoke last month too about the Flutter code base and what that allows us to do. Yeah, it's amazing. And so what it allows us to do is iterate and give you all more timely updates. And the announcement today that I can share with you all is that we heard great feedback. It's great to always hear, especially as a product person and my development team. We love to hear all the things that are great, but to hear those pain points and how we can make it better we heard loud and clear that we wanted a new way to attach the feature where you can add a file before the call so that you're not going back and forth with an agent. We heard really loud and clear that you also wanted the ability to add a photo on iOS, which works in Android that way. So we are going ahead and building that, and you should have that probably by next week, which is really exciting. Yeah.
Ooh, very nice.
So just showing that, that we are listening to that feedback and everything that you can put. A couple other things is Magic Tap will be available to end the calls. That's coming.
Yay.
Yeah. And then we also are switching we've heard that knowing when your next call available is free or not can be a little serving. So we've moved the order of that and to see if that helps that. So I'm looking for feedback on that. Yeah. And other than that, and also hearing, like I said, the great things, we also did discover, just thing to know, that we are very much aware that there is pictures are blurry and it's affecting certain iPhone 14 models like the Pro. So we're currently investigating that. But if you're experiencing any issues with that, if you have one of the newer iPhones, we would suggest that you continue to use the Legacy app until we announce that we have a fix for that. But other versions of older iPhones, anything other than a 14 are working. So that is what we have on that end. Like I said, we really appreciate all of your feedback in the app so we can hear that. We're doing that daily because, as I've told you all, we are building with you, not for you. It's very important for the team. And also anyone who can leave reviews in the App Store, it'd be very helpful as well for us to get that going and kicking off. So that's
Awesome.
it from my end.
All right. And I have a couple questions that people have submitted. Do you or should you uninstall the IRA Legacy app? And why do we have two apps in the App Store? That's something people have been asking quite a bit since last Tuesday.
Yeah, we're not getting rid of Legacy as of now. It was very important, especially knowing the cognitive load for folks to get a new app. So we actually kind of fought Apple a little bit on that and really advocated why we wanted to make sure that everyone had access to both. So we do not suggest deleting both. Play with both so we can get that feedback. You can do both versions. You'll notice that there are certain features that are there and certain that aren't in both. So keep that. And like I said, it's brand new. So especially when you you think about that new iPhone that I just said, that's a perfect example of where you'd want to have that old version
Yep.
as well. Yeah.
Exactly. And it seems that the issue with the iPhone seems to be in really close up photography. So if you're taking a picture of a document or something like that, further away, it doesn't seem to happen as much, and it may not happen to you at all. So
Yeah.
we're definitely tracking that one. And these two are two absolutely separate apps. So two different types of code that are being used in the apps. And so that's why there are two of them. But we highly recommend keeping them both and keeping them both up to date. The legacy app probably won't change a lot over time until we can sunset that app. But the new app, obviously, that one will be changing a lot. And we still have the Aira desktop app. It is still in a public beta, which means that you can use it. There are certain things that you will not be able to do on it, like doing a screen control kind of thing without a third-party app to help you out. But we have lots of information about that at aira.io/desktop. So, alrighty. Well, now we're going to get into it. The technology conference, the premier technology conference, I guess we can say, is CSUN-ATC, which is the California State University Northridge Assistive Technology Conference. I can't believe I got all that. And here to talk about it, we had quite a crew at CSUN this year, and it was wonderful to meet so many people. But Troy, let me just get some of your impressions with probably the buzzword that was at CSUN this year, AI.
Oh, we're going to start with AI.
Well, we might as well start with the big one.
Yeah, first remark, this is the 38th version of CSUN. It's my 7th version, and I go there every year. It's I probably say it's about all my conferences, but it is one of my favorite. I am a technologist deep down, and there's nothing more exciting than going to CSUN to see, people we know, but also to see what's new and exciting. Fun fact, this year was about 85% of attendance relative to pre-COVID levels. So
Wow.
100%. So there's a lot of people there walking around, talking. It was noisy. It was fun. It was nonstop. And then in comparison to last year, I learned it was about 50% attendance. So I think, from the trend of worldwide health, we're headed in the right direction, and CSUN was a ton of fun. Let's talk about AI, and let's not forget, Aira is named after the ambition to be artificial intelligence remote assistance, and AI is I'd like to hear what Mike has to say about this. Ultimately, I'm always asked, like, hey, what's Aira doing with AI, and what do you see in the future of AI? And I've studied AI for a long time. It's a very broad term. There's many types of AI. And I think right now we can see in the marketplace for getting assistive tech, there's more and more AI being deployed, whether that's, continuing on with computer vision, self-driving cars, self-flying vehicles. Everyone's talking about Chat GPT, right? Like whether or not that is where it's used, what's appropriate, how effective is it? Is the outcome from AI, is what's being provided, is that like a sentient being? Is that like just data? Like, how does it work? How does it get programmed? I'm
Will
not
it
going to
replace us here on the monthly Explorer call? We
Right.
ask ourselves.
I can tell you personally, we play around with that. We're looking at ways to leverage it. Kudos to those who are. I know Be My Eyes had an announcement about leveraging Chat GPT. I talked to the CEO there. They're pretty excited about it. And ultimately, I can't not say, how would I just, AI is like central to Good Maps, right, Mike? I mean, this is the future. But at the end of the day, AI is software. It's a tool. It's a technique, and it's a powerful one because ultimately it requires less coding and less rules, less hard-coded rules to get to answers. I think for us, just reflecting on it, maybe anticipating a question I was asked a bunch, like, what's Ira going to do with AI? When are we going to see Chloe return and those kind of
Oh
things?
my.
Yeah, right.
Mhm.
And I would say this. I think where we're going to invest in AI is wherever it makes sense, right? Like just maybe stating the obvious. And if it works well in the customer experience, that's great. But our hypothesis is that Ira's a solution that does well in shades of gray. So there are so many tools out there, so many new tools, so many existing ones, and they've been around for a while. And I expect they're going to get better. There'll be new ones, but often the reason you call us, the reason you're using Ira is whatever the tool or the technique that might work isn't working, or it's not working efficient enough, and where efficiency is critical. So the alternative AI isn't working. That's when you engage Ira, and that's where we're going to invest. So whether that's better matching of agents, whether that's how we schedule agents, whether that's the intelligence that we provide to our agents, I think that's where you're going to see AI powered. And I'm going to leave it to the marketplace because there's so many tools out there that are using AI directly. I think let's figure out what the best tool is out there. Let those companies, those entities pursue. And so you'll see us improve over time with internal AI.
Mm. Interesting. And I think framing it that way really gives people a lot to think about when it comes to AI. So, Mike, you have been a longtime attendee, presenter, heavily involved in the CSUN conference. What were your thoughts this year on our buzzword going in?
Yeah, nice to be here. I think my first year at CSUN was probably in 1995, so approaching 30
Wow.
years. I was interested to hear that attendance, Troy, because I felt like it was as busy as any year I remembered.
Mm.
It really it was really fun. Lots of people coming by, stacked up at the booth.
Mhm.
It seemed to be what was different is people wanted to talk 15, 20, 30 minutes, and it's like
Yes.
there's other people waiting. But it was fun to actually engage. People had questions. They wanted to dig into some things. So I really appreciated that attendance. I had 2 presentations, and those are well attended. They had this new broadcast format this year that I thought was really good, with kind of a panel approach. I had JJ from AT Guys was interviewing me about Good Maps. As far as AI, I've just been reading along with everybody else about the Chat GPT and hearing examples on, Mosen at Large and other places about how it's working. And so I downloaded the Bing app and I've been playing with it. And I think the 2 things, one is that the AI right now, in terms of our context for getting information and description, is kind of it's in transition. It's a stepping stone. So you have to stumble around a bit before you get stuff that's really productive and useful all the time. And I think I'm okay with that. Some people don't like necessarily being beta testers and fumbling through that, but I think that's part of the process, and it's good to appreciate the benefits as well as the weaknesses. What I like about the Chat GPT so far is the fact that you can carry on a conversation. So
Yes.
I ask it a question about its topic, it gives me an answer, and that's not enough. So I follow up and I ask another question. Normally in your typical Google search, you'd have to go back and reiterate or type in new stuff. So I really like that piece of it. And I think the ability to send a picture and get commentary on a picture is really a big step forward that is going to be particularly useful for blind people.
Absolutely. And querying that picture, as I've seen a couple demonstrations of folks doing, is really interesting. So we have a couple people here, Jody and Sandy, who were both first timers, along with myself at CSUN this year. So Jody, what were your, as a product manager, what did you see this year? Thoughts about the conference in general, and then the whole proliferation of AI?
Yeah, I don't know if I have a lot of thoughts on the AI part of it, but I really enjoyed getting to talk to all of our explorers in real life. That was amazing for me, especially this is the first time where I have had a launch. I've done many launches in my life, but to have that while we were right there and to hear people's feedback right there and for them to show me how they use the product was incredible. And also just to see so many explorers. To be honest, I've never been around so many people with, seeing the dogs and the canes and all the tech and all just, it was just incredible. So I was really thankful to be there and to learn so much and hear so many people's stories and connect.
Awesome. And I will tell you, folks, those halls were packed. I have to say that I went to NFB last summer, and that was a little, oh, we're all out, big crowds again. But this was 10 times that. Lots and lots of folks there, but it was really fun, though, to actually get together with people again. Sandy, this was your first CSUN as our marketing manager, doing a launch, meeting with some of our access partners while we were there. What else stood out for you?
Two big things stood out. So I often, not always, but often think of things through the lens of marketing and the lens of storytelling. And what became so evident to me was we all know what Aira is. We all think of Aira as a thing, a noun, a being, and we think of it as a verb. We call an Aira agent. I'm calling Aira. You almost think Aira is the actual verb. So we know it also well. What became really clear to me in talking with people during CSUN, there's still so many people who don't know what Aira is. And so when we start the conversation, or when I started the conversation and ask questions about visual interpreting, slowly people start to shake their head up and down and say, I'm beginning to understand. And it just gave me so much more insight into how we communicate to all of the organizations and the states and the other entities that we're looking to provide service. So that was an important experience to have. And then you asked about AI.
Yeah.
Again, through the lens of a marketer and storytelling. I know there's huge opportunity. I would like to believe I'm not naive. I absolutely know there's huge opportunity. And I was going to use the word but I don't want to use the word but. There's equal opportunity for us to keep reminding everybody that there's a place for everything, and there's tremendous value in what the human does. And in this case, the Aira agent is the human, what the human does, and the value of the human to human connection. So for me, I think it's starting to understand how we all live and play and work together, not a sort of which one is better than or not as good as. But it took a little bit of listening and being part of conversations to come to that, okay, we'll figure out how together we deliver an even stronger visual interpreting service for all of you. So I really enjoyed my time there. I learned a lot, as you can hopefully hear in my words.
Now, there were, along with the, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted to give an example that kind of addresses what Sandra was just talking about.
Yes.
Here's an anecdote. So I have some ties with maps on them, as you might guess, being a map person.
Oh, how cool.
And they have really tiny street names on them. So if you look at them closely, you can figure out that's Market Street in San Francisco. That's White Cliff Street in London.
Oh, wow.
And I've lost track of which cities are which. So I use my different tools taking pictures, calling up agents, saying, what is this tie of? What city is this? And the print is so small that it's difficult for them to see. So the fact that the IRA agent could take a picture and zoom in gave them an extra edge on figuring out what that was. But with one of the ties, they still couldn't figure out the words. So the very creative agent said, well, let me look it up on Google. And I thought, how are you going to do that? And she looked up the name of the company, found the map tie company, looked at the other ties that they offered, and found one that matched my tie and said, that's Rome.
Oh, wow.
And I thought, that is impressive.
Yeah.
And that's really why you need your toolbox and all these different things. But in the end, you may also need some eyeballs and some brains.
Wow. That is very impressive, Mike.
You remind me of something you've always said. It stuck with me. Yes, there is a toolbox, but I think the future as well is where it all merges together and making it easier to go between tool and having that context carry along, so you don't have to maybe repeat to the IRA agent what you were already trying to do with the AI tool, or vice versa. And it's kind of like the ChatGPT is doing a little bit, right? It's synthesizing. You don't have to do the 10 searches. And I think that's the future we can look to. And so I kind of conclude as well, it's an and, not an or, right? And then the future is about making that kind of integration, if you will, or that moving between tools and contexts easier, which I think AI will play a role in as well. So I think I conclude, I love the future. I'm a futurist. There's certainly problems to be solved, but it's great to see, smart humans are figuring out how to work together and create these frameworks and capabilities that, weren't there 10, 20, certainly 50 years ago.
Now, Troy, I wanted to know, because CSUN is not all about the exhibit hall. There are a number of presentations going on. They had a live TV studio that you could tune into while you were there. And those presentations, I believe, are going to be made available. And then also some of the keynote presentations and the general sessions were made available. Were there any workshops that you went to that were particularly interesting that really got you revved up?
I don't know if you're leading the witness, because you were in the one that got.
No, not at all.
But I think the minute I utter what I'm going to talk about, people are going to go, really? That was exciting. But I'm going to tell you why it was exciting. So Janine and I went. It was a lunch session, even though we didn't have lunch. It was a noon session, and it was a birds of feather. It was government and policy. And I know a lot of you are going, oh my God, that sounds, yeah.
How was that exciting?
And so we walked into this room. There were about 8 tables fully, and we weren't there late. It was already pretty full. And what it was is folks from, federal organizations who focus on accessibility and standards, state organizations. And then there was actually a surprising international contingent, from Japan, from Thailand, from South America. I can't, there are others. And so why were we there and why was that exciting? Well, for one, we were there because the state of Colorado, as we know, recently launched a statewide deployment of IRA. And I can tell you, they are, completely, they're so excited about that event, and also the legislation that they passed, that I guess there's a $2,500 fine if someone finds an inaccessible experience on a federal site, paid directly to the individual, right? So how cool is that? But ultimately, we're there just to learn more about, how the feds, the federal government, and the states, and those who work in the legislative angles there, because we're warming up for our bigger, launch of visual interpreting. We've talked about this, and I bent a bunch of people's ears at CSUN, the idea that we're going to separate what we do here at IRA, visual interpreting, from the brand IRA. And the reason we're doing that is to make it more clear to those who are yet, to be exposed to visual interpreting, that this is it's an accommodation like others, that is a tool. And so That's why I was there, and that's what I was excited about, to learn some of the language. And then here, frankly, a lot of the states, for example, raising their hand, going, "Hey, state of Colorado, what did you do? How did you do it? Can we meet up and talk more about it?" So maybe for the rest of you, what this means is coming to a state near you or that you live in at some point is the idea that the state will provide visual interpreting for certain use cases, just like Alabama and Colorado and Connecticut have provided.
Yeah, it was quite amusing to hear Colorado used as a verb. Oh, we want to do a Colorado, we want to Colorado our state too.
Yeah.
And these initiatives are coming from governor's offices. So if you are somebody who is on maybe a governor's advisory panel or something like that, this is the place to start talking. And, get in touch with us, because we can connect you to the folks in Colorado who are happy to share their knowledge. And their effort is across the range of accessibility. So it's not just about IRA, not just about blindness or low vision, but it's really pretty far reaching. So, and they were happy to announce at the conference, toward the end of the conference, that they are now also covering employees of the state of Colorado too. So that was exciting. So if you are a state government employee, certainly if you would like to know more, give us an email or a call, and we can get you positioned to talk to those folks. So let's go around that exhibit hall. Mike was there, and I actually forgot to get to you about the presentations. Were there any presentations that really took you by storm and really got you excited?
The only presentation I went to was Good Maps. This is one thing
Nothing
about
exciting
having a
about
booth.
that, right?
This is one thing about having a booth, is you're tied down, and so
Yep.
you don't get to go around the exhibit hall as much. And certainly with presentations, I can't get away for a couple hours. So
Mm-hmm.
I thought my sessions went well. Good Maps had mapped
Awesome.
Good Maps had mapped the hotel, the Anaheim Marriott,
Mhm.
and for the first time we mapped the exhibit hall. So I was able to set IRA as a destination and get navigated from our 100 block over to the 600 block or wherever you guys were with turn-by-turn directions. So that was
Oh my
pretty
goodness.
awesome.
And you were in the other room. For those who don't know, there are usually two rooms at CSUN. And
We
Mike
were in the
was
same one.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I never did figure out the numbering system, but
Yeah, and we could give you turn-by-turn directions across from the Marquee Ballroom over to the Grand Ballroom to other exhibits over there. So that was neat. I was also impressed that some of these companies they're making a huge commitment to accessibility. Our next door neighbor was Amazon. They had over 60 people attending. I was told Hilton had over 30.
Wow.
Lots of people from CVS. And so not only the state governments, but I think a lot of these corporations are making some huge commitments. And that was part of what I got out of the exhibit hall. I would say that people were talking about Braille displays.
Oh, yes.
There's some new developments. And Braille displays may seem like they've been the same thing for 40 years. It's a little bit smaller, but the same price. But a lot of, I think a lot of improvements and some new features in those. Of course, the APH HumanWare Monarch, as they're now calling it, the 32 character 10 line display that gives you graphics, was probably one of the major items at the conference.
Didn't get to get my hands on that one, but I did look at the Dot Pad from the Dot company from South Korea, and that was amazing. I was ready to carry it home with me, but and then of course the products from Orbit Research. There is a new computer out there. It's a Windows computer that is very customizable with I believe it's a 40 cell Braille display with it, one line on that, and that will be coming out, I believe, this summer, maybe a little bit later. Yeah, next year. But
first quarter of next year, and it's modular, so they're sort of getting on the the idea of the form factor of the old L Braille, which was kind of
Mhm.
complicated to use, but had the benefits of a Windows computer and running JAWS or NVDA and so forth.
Yeah, this one has got NVDA right in there, and looks like it's going to be a really interesting product. And I can empathize with the booth. I didn't get out as much as I wanted to, but so Sandy, were you able to walk around to the booths? I know we had Amazon, we had Sony. They had an adorable little robot dog that I never got to see. No, I don't know if Sandy and Jody, yeah, if you guys got to see that.
I did walk around a bit. I walked around a bit on my own, and I also walked around a bit with Troy, who was the perfect guide, giving me the if everybody knows what Cliff Notes are, the Cliff Notes story about many of the different exhibitors, their history, and sort of where they are today. I have two comments. One about being interested in the Monarch. Not for me, but for a family member. And I realize we're still a bit away from it being commercially available, but wow, that was impressive to see. And then my second comment, not about the exhibit hall. My favorite session was lunch on Tuesday afternoon with Mike May.
Ha ha! I see. I wasn't in yet, so lucky you. Wow. Awesome.
Anyway, I only went to our session, much of the same lament as everybody else. We were all manning or womaning or personing our booths.
Mhm. Mm. Jody, anything from the exhibit hall that really took you by surprise or really got you going?
I spent a lot of my time at the booth, and I'm hoping that in the future I get to walk around a little bit more. So I will definitely be doing that. I need that Troy tour. I need that VIP
Yeah.
experience.
Well, it's amazing how many people Troy knows, actually. And so,
I did see Stevie Wonder. I did see
Ooh.
Stevie Wonder.
Yeah, we didn't actually get to meet Stevie Wonder, but I think he probably walked past our booth once. So we were touched by greatness, sort of. So, but Stevie is usually there every year, really interested in the technology. And probably that was one of the biggest pluses was being able to get your hands on products again. Regardless of the product, just getting your hands on something to look at it, and copious amounts of hand sanitizer were consumed, but it was just really, really nice to got to see the HIMS Sense player, which yeah, that will soon have a screen reader on it that will allow you to download Android apps, and so that will be a potential place for Ira to show up again. You never know.
I should mention that electronics software, everything is getting less expensive. There's cameras and sensors on more things.
Mhm.
We talk about anytime there's a camera connected to the internet, there's an option for Ira to play a role there, right, as the interpreter. And we certainly saw more of that. I saw another app, by the way, that I thought was pretty cool. I don't know how well it works, but when you think about AI is often deployed best on very narrow problems. And so there's this app, it's only available on iOS. It's called OKO.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I used it.
Did you, Mike? How did it work?
Well, they have any number of disclaimers. One is that it doesn't work at night.
Mhm.
So that's it's still evolving, but people have been working on detecting signal lights for years. So this is a real breakthrough. Unfortunately, the streets near CSUN, Harbor Boulevard is 8 lanes wide, and Catella is 6, and it couldn't pick up that far. I mean, you're talking 150 feet.
Yeah. Wow.
So, but once I got halfway across Harbor, then it started beeping and showing me that it was okay to walk. I'm glad it wasn't saying don't walk.
So this app actually looks at the street lights. Looks at the traffic signals.
And it will even pick up like a bus. They have above usually the driver's window of bus is the name of the bus or the line, and so they've done some cool things. And so I didn't think about that, Mike, the length and the distance, but It gives you a hint of the future. Of course, my other favorite app was there, which is Good Maps.
Yeah.
I have to admit, it was pretty cool. Like I told you about this, but I'll tell the rest of those who are listening. While we're setting up for our booth, there's a gentleman who's walking around with this hand sensor. The best thing I can describe it, if you can imagine what the old Star Trek tricorder, or it was this black device and it had a green strobing light. This person's walking around, and what they're doing is they're mapping the inside of the hall and walking pretty fast. So it's pretty awesome to see how quickly they map. And then at CSUN, most of the time we know someone's using Ira because they're walking either with a cane or a guide dog, but they're holding their camera. You guys all know this, right? They're holding their camera out, kind of panning around. Looks like they're talking to themselves, perhaps. And I saw a lot of that, but sometimes that would be someone using Good Maps, using the front-facing camera, to orient and get the information. So that's always fun to see. Of course, I always light up a little bit because that means either Mike's company or Ira's helping, with that task.
We had a number of people come up being guided to our booth with their Envision glasses. So, of course, you could hear the agent. So that was kind of fun. And we got to see our friends at Envision there and hear about what they're going to be doing also with some AI on the glasses. So stay tuned. They're having a webinar in April. You want to go to letsenvision.com and get on their mailing list so that you can take advantage of that, see what is going on with Envision. Well, we have a few questions, Sandy, that got turned in ahead of time. And I think you all have answered the first one of them, which was about when Ira would get into AI and how we would use it. But we have a couple others.
Sure, just bear with me for a split second to open
No
my phone.
problem. No problem. And one of them actually... Got them?
Go ahead. You go ahead, and then I'll
Oh,
be
I
right.
was going to say one of them actually involves the Envision glasses. And many of you may have read something about Google discontinuing support for its enterprise glasses, one model of those. And Troy, I don't know if would you like to speak to how that's going to affect us with Envision?
I'll do my best. Of course, Envision's its own company, and they develop, market, sell software that runs on iPhone or Android, or in this case the Envision glasses, and we have a strong partnership with them. They've done a fantastic job, even though I know we're doing more to integrate that experience on Ira. So we'll continue. I think you can ask them directly, but they are definitely confident about their ability to continue to support the hardware and ship more units. And so I'm fully confident they're going to find their way through any obstacles that may or may not exist. But ultimately, we'll continue to grow that integration to make it, more useful. You all have asked for adding GPS, so the agent knows where you are when using the glasses. You all have asked, I think, us collectively, can we get higher resolution photos? I believe they're working on. I know they're working on that. But ultimately, it's great to have a partner with a hands-free solution and something they can focus on so we can focus on the service.
You got it. All right. So just stay tuned to Envision. They've got this one.
Yeah, they got the football. They're good.
Okay, I do have one question.
All righty.
Explorer Melody asked just a specific how-to question when it comes to the new app. Wondering if I download the new Explorer app and delete my legacy app, do I have to sign back in to my account and make any updates or adjustments to my profile? Or actually, she says profiles plural, so maybe she has more than one profile.
I believe she does. And the answer, and Jody, you can back me on this one, but the answer is you will not need to delete the original app, which is now called Ira Legacy. You won't need to delete that, and you won't need to make any adjustments in your profile. All your information should be there. You may have to sign in when you're switching between the old app and the new app, right? You may have to actually sign in again, but it's a quick and easy process. And in the new app, you can do it either by phone number or by email, which can make it a little bit easier to copy that number over, that 4-digit number, depending on how you're doing it. I think I got that one right, Jody.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'd say the one thing I'm pretty confident you don't need to do. You can, because I run both apps on my phone and I don't sign in and out once
Ah,
I did both, right? In fact, you can
nice.
be signed in on your desktop app, you can be signed in on the new and old Explorer app on iOS, and you can be signed in to your iPhone as well. And you could even, if you had a blind shell, you could all be signed into all of those all at the same time. And
What long
the only
gone are the
one that's like,
days
yeah,
when you
the only
had
one
to
I'm like, I'm
completely
not
sign
signing.
out.
So that's one thing. Oh, and this is something I learned on the very last minute of the conference. So imagine, Joshua, I think Janine, you had headed to the airport, but it was Joshua, myself, and Vinu. We shut down our booth. We
Mhm.
were packing it away. It was like it was over, and someone came running up, and I think they were from the New York Institute of. There was some. They educate people on all things accessibility, and they happened to use Ira. They came running up, and they had this question about, like, can I use it on the iPad? And in particular, this individual had been loaning out their personal iPhone to students so that they could learn. And
Ah.
she's like, I'm getting tired of giving my phone
Mm-hmm.
to these students. Some are younger with their grubby little hands, right?
Oh.
And I turned to Vinu. I'm like, how does this work? And she had also asked about iPad. Well, our new native app works on the iPad, and it also allows you to log in with your email. And so, for her, that was a good solution, because the way one of the ways we do access, especially at that location, is people get a second profile that allows them to connect, in this case, to the school and use those minutes. And so, but I think the takeaway for all of you is know that we now support not just the iPad, but also the ability to sign in with email, which you mentioned. Because if you're on an iPad, the text is going to go to your phone, and that might be a little hard to deal with. So that was kind of interesting to see how our new platform already unlocked a use case that before was a little messy.
Wow, that's great. And I know we had a question about that. I was on a technology podcast last night, and someone asked about the iPad, and I said, I am 99.9% sure we work on the iPad, and being able to sign in by email, that's an extra plus. I also had a report from somebody last night who loves using the front-facing camera on their phone because they said it makes it so much easier to check your shirt. If he has a bunch of shirts with writing, and to find out which one very quickly. Also, if there are any stains, but also he has difficulty with one of his hands. And so he's not able to manipulate the phone as easily. And it's just so much easier to use that front-facing camera to look at certain things about his wardrobe and things like that. And I had never thought of that as a use case. But yeah, when you don't have to manipulate that phone a lot, it's really great to be able to switch cameras.
I'm just sorry, Janine, I didn't mean to step in. I want to clap for Troy on the clever play on words about the grubby little hands and messy situation. Well done. But maybe more important, tell everybody, if you care to ask a question, please use the Q&A function. In all likelihood, you'll find the icon, at least the way my screen is set up, toward the bottom of the screen, the Q&A icon to ask a question. And then Janine, we're a few minutes, maybe 6 or so minutes before the top of the hour.
Yeah.
We've got one hand raised. Do you want to do just you live?
Sure, we can do the one hand, and then if we've got any questions in the Q&A, we'll be happy to take one or two of those. So who is our hand-raising person?
Sid,
Yes.
let's open the microphone for Austin, please.
All right, stand by, Austin.
Speaking of, here is Austin.
Austin, you're online.
Can you hear me?
We sure can, Austin.
The one hand is actually me. I'm having a hard time to hold the camera. This one hand, the back. Like, where's my what kind of shirt I'm wearing? And now the new app, it's really better because I can use the front camera.
And you are indeed the person I was just talking about, actually, who gave that to me last night because I had never really thought about that as
That's
a use
me.
case. So, yeah, we are glad to hear that. Glad to hear it's working. And now you can read those many shirts that you have.
Oh, the one question.
Yes, sir.
I know it's getting back, but what's the Uber coming back because now I have this love.
Ah, will we be bringing back Uber? Troy, thoughts?
Ugh.
All right, I'm trying to wear my best, most diplomatic hat here. So let me tell you how I see it, and let me tell you what's happened, and maybe there's something you all can do. So we did integrate with Uber, and it did work. And at some point in 2019, Uber stopped supporting that API. And so we emailed them like, hey, can we do something different? Can we work with you? And then COVID came out and even made it worse. Like, not only were they not supporting it, they introduced some issues that we couldn't work around. And so we reached out, hey, is there something we can do together? They just don't answer emails. I can't reach anyone there. There's no one that shows up at conferences. I just don't think they're not listening to us. And I know there's others trying to work with Uber. I think right now they're just not prioritizing that use case. Is it because we support the blind and visually impaired community? I don't think so. I think it's at some level they're not supporting their API for the kinds of things we want to do. And despite a pretty consistent email campaign for myself, at least, I'm not getting any response. So I'm not, I always say this, I can't tell you what to do. Some companies listen to Twitter, some companies listen to their email, some monitor Facebook groups, but if anyone can help unlock and get us, in front of someone at Uber where we could start to work on a solution, we would do it, because I know for sure that's an important use case. I would say in the meantime, use Lyft.
Yeah.
Troy, I can comment on that.
Excellent, Mike.
They hired a new accessibility person about 6 months ago, and I've been giving them the benefit of the doubt that they're coming up to speed. I've told them about probably 10 different bug fixes in Uber. I don't think one has been addressed yet. I've not reminded them of this issue. I will, and I'll put you in touch with them so you can bug them as well. But I share your concern that at a more senior level, they're just not committed to getting this right.
And right there is the power of networking, folks. Thank you so much, Mike. And hopefully we can get this accessibility person and get our Uber support back for everybody. But absolutely, in the meantime, take Lyft. It does work with the new app. You can get if you have been connected in the old app, I believe you will be automatically connected in the new app. Am I correct about that? I think mine was automatically connected when I went in. But if not, it is a quick and easy process to link the two accounts. Sandy, do we have any questions in the Q&A?
Oh, no. Sorry, let me rephrase that. We don't have any unanswered questions in the Q&A. There have been 8 so far, and I've answered them. A couple were questions, a couple were tips from one explorer to the rest of the group tonight. Sorry, I couldn't think of the word. But we've got one or two more raised hands, so let's do those.
Okay,
Back-
let's
you.
sure.
Back to you to wrap up. So Sid, would you open the microphone for whoever's phone area code is 502?
Excellent. Stand
Please.
by.
502.
I should have,
Kentucky.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought that was
You
Louisville
are
area.
online, 502 area code. Please go ahead and speak and ask your question.
and I should have said please, Sid. Sorry about that. 502, you
Yep.
can, your microphone
Here we
should be open.
go.
There we go.
There we are. There you are.
Hello there.
Just need to unmute.
And unmute is in the lower corner.
There we go.
If you're on a cell phone, lower left corner.
Good,
There you go.
good afternoon.
All right.
Good
Hi
afternoon. Good evening. Hi, this is Terry Turlaw. Hello, Miss Janine.
There. Oh, goodness. Hello,
We-
Terry.
From way from the dark ages in Columbus.
I was going to
But
say,
I
a
was-
dear old friend of mine. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. But first of all, I can't say enough that's wonderful about Ira, but could you review what is going to happen, if anything, with artificial intelligence? Are you guys looking at that?
I'll
Okay.
pick up it
I
again.
know. Thank
Yep.
you.
Go for it, Troy.
So, AI is a huge thing. Are we going to plug GPT in and do a kind of a similar feature that a lot of apps already have? No, we believe that our mission is, and our best use is to connect you with a trained Ira agent as quickly as possible. And we're going to apply AI to the features that you already use. So in the far future, we hope and will, I should not just say hope, we will be looking at how to even better match your call to the best agent available for the task at hand. That's an example where AI can help. So you are not going to see us anytime soon. I mean, I could always change my mind. We're not going to be developing autonomous or, non-human experiences with AI like we did before. So, but if you have reason to believe we should, I would love to hear that. I think our best use of our engineering and time is to figure out how to make human to human experience better and let the broader market focus on using AI for, non-human, non-interactive experiences. And I applaud, again, I think it's awesome to be in this community and with all of the innovators there. And we hope they do more, right? Because that means that you can use Ira for the most critical things, and maybe some of the things that we do today over time that are easier to implement with AI will be solved that way. So what do you think?
And Terry, I know you have been in the education space for quite a while in your career. So, any thoughts on that? If we still have you with us?
She's there, but she muted again.
No worries.
If you can unmute. There you
No
are.
worries.
Oops, one more time.
There we go.
Well, I'll pop in and add, if I could get the thought out. Earlier, I don't know what time you joined the call, but earlier in the call, Troy did talk about this at length. And so when Janine shares the recording and the podcast, it would be worth a listen. Obviously, that's a topic that's of interest to you.
Mhm. Absolutely. Well, we have time for one more person, Sid. So let's grab that hand.
All
Sid,
right,
what do you
excellent. Stand
think?
by.
Yeah.
And David, we've got you online. David, please go ahead and ask your question.
It's like David needs to unmute.
It's a two-step process. First, we open it up. Oh, I think we might have just lost David.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it looks like
Oh,
we've lost
dear.
David. Apologies on
Okay.
that.
That's all right. But,
Well,
I have a question. I was hoping somebody would ask, but since they
Oh.
didn't,
yeah.
um,
Go for it.
I'm a big fan of Ira Live. What is its future?
Ooh, good one. Because, as you all may know, Ira Live is not currently in the new app, which is how you can tell them apart. Somebody asked me, how can I tell them apart? I said, look at that bottom line. If you see live, you're in the Legacy app.
And
So,
Janine,
Jody, Troy, any words about Ira
I'm
Live?
going to Jody, but I'm just going to point out this is a case where it's never been in the Android app, right? That's another example of what we're solving for, having a single platform, a single experience. So, Jody, what do you say about Ira Live?
Yeah, you hit the nail right there. So because it was never on Android, it was something, that's going to take time to redesign. And it's something that we want to make very useful and works for both of those experiences. So not saying that it won't be back. It's just something that needs a lot more time. And we want to design it to make sure it would be released as more of a premium feature in the future. So just not right now, but in the future could be something we consider for both of those experiences.
Another
Cool.
reason to keep the Legacy app.
Yep, you got it. Especially if that is part of your workflow, something that maybe you use in your job privately
That's
or
my play
publicly.
flow.
Ooh, fun. We've had some fun live sessions lately, so yeah, absolutely. Including, I do believe I listened to a really fun one, Mike, of your wife at the Pike Street Market. That was so much fun getting
It was.
descriptions of the vendors and everything. I was like glued to that for over an hour, I think.
Yeah, we've had some
So,
fun ones.
yeah, that was great. Well, Mike, I'm going to start with you to wrap up. Any final thoughts on sort of probably the next through the end of the year in technology?
Oh gosh, I'm always thinking about tomorrow. But I've been a huge fan of hands-free use, and so I'm thrilled to see that Envision AI is doing that, and there's ARX, and there's a new company, Celeste, working on this. So there's always benefits when you're not the only one in the market. We push each other. So I'm happy to see that the hands-free application is something that's moving along.
Super.
And in the meantime, I got a new lanyard. They called it a neck wallet, and I've been enjoying using that.
Nice. Sandy described that to me from CSUN. She said Mike's
Yeah.
got quite the neck gear there.
Mhm.
Awesome.
And the what did I call it? That we need to do one with a pocket watch like tether at the bottom. See, I told you all my favorite session was lunch with Mike. This is where I learned all about what works and what features are missing from the neck wallet.
And just hope it doesn't cover up too much of that tie, because those ties sound fascinating. Now I'm going to have to look for the tie company that has maps, because boy, those would be great gifts for a few people I know. Awesome. So, Sandy, let's go for you. Any thoughts to wrap up? We have so many new access partners who have contacted us in the since the beginning of the year. It's been just unbelievable.
Just exciting, and the sky's the limit. I think I've said plenty tonight. I'm going to pass it back to you.
All right. Well, Troy, let's wrap with you and get your thoughts.
Well, first off, I need some help from everyone here. I got to decide what tie. If Mike wears a map tie, he works for Good Maps.
You need a see-through tie.
Oh,
Ooh.
I was thinking a talking tie. I don't know. I'm sure you guys have ideas. You can email me your ideas on that. No, I think we're off to a great year. I think there's always seems like the globe is giving us something new every year. We got a little financial issue going on, but ultimately, we're now looking ahead to the summer conferences. We'll get to engage again. I hope to see some of you there personally. And I just, I'm really having a hard time keeping my mouth shut, because ultimately we got this new app and there's so much promise ahead, because now we can iterate, a little faster than we did before. And so, that's in part where my heart is. And the other place my heart is at is, ultimately delivering Ira to more access partners as always, right? And visual interpreting. So I'll leave with this. And you've heard it before, but I will probably never shut up on this now that we're on this mission, which is visual interpreting as a concept is still not well known and well understood, even though it is a concept I think we can all agree on. And once I think we have industry alignment and all the way to employers, to the federal government, it just means that there's another accessibility tool that will be more easily funded, by states and federal government. And so that's really the mission ahead. And, as the CEO of IRA, I'm going to do everything in my power, including with a new hire that we haven't announced, aren't announcing yet, but we have our VP level role that's going to help make that a possibility. So that's really what I'm thinking about is visual interpreting.
Excitement, big excitement. Well, we did get David back. So, David, in just the few minutes here, if you could ask your question for us, and we will try to get that answered.
David, you are online. Can you hear us?
Oh, dear.
No, you can't unmute him yourself.
No.
No, unfortunately, we
No,
can't.
Unfortunately,
No. Well, I will tell you, if you would like, David, you can certainly send us your question to support@ira.io, and we would be happy. Questions, comments, anything. I'm looking now for my magical Braille calendar, which has apparently fallen on the floor. So our next call, folks, will be when I find the correct month here. I have many different Braille calendars. So we are looking at April, and that will be April 19th. There's the Braille calendar. Yay. Little one there. And so April 19th, we will be back with you with more news, I'm sure more updates on the app, and possibly more special guests. I'd like to thank Mike May for joining us tonight from Good Maps, and a longtime friend of IRA. And Mike, we wish you all the best going forward. It's always great to see you in person.
Pleasure to be here.
Awesome. And then we have Jody Barthel, our product manager.
Great to be here.
Sandy Marcus, our VP of marketing.
Thank you for having me. Good night, well, I don't know if it's night every place, but goodbye or good night, everyone.
It's getting there. And Troy Attilio, our CEO, who will be at the Inclusive Innovation event on Friday at the San Francisco Lighthouse.
With Mike May of Good Maps.
With Mike May of Good Maps. All right.
Mike and I are hanging out this week. It's a great start. Middle of the week, I should say. Good night, everyone.
Awesome. All right. And from my wonderful producer, Sid, who is back with us, as you can tell. Thank you so much, Sid.
always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Awesome.